In this small, forgotten town of Hollow Creek, there was one place nobody ever talked about, at least not in a normal voice. House number 27. When its name came up, whispers would replace conversation, as if the house itself had ears. Its windows were like voids, perpetually dark, and the paint peeled from the walls like sunburnt skin. But the real reason for the fear started late at night, specifically after 2:17 a.m. That's when the knocking began. Not a loud, demanding knock, but a careful, deliberate one. The kind of knock someone makes when they're trying not to wake the wrong thing. This is the town Ethan moved to. He wasn't looking for ghosts. He was running from them. The ghosts of debt, of a bitter divorce, of sleepless nights, where his own thoughts were the monsters. Hollow Creek was cheap. It was quiet, it was perfect. When the landlord offered him house number 27 for half the standard rent, Ethan didn't bother asking why. He just signed the papers. That was his very first mistake. The first night was unsettlingly quiet. Not a cricket chirped, not a floorboard creaked, not a single car passed in the distance. The silence was thick, heavy, like the entire house was holding its breath, waiting. Then, at precisely 2:17 a.m., Ethan was jolted awake. Knock. 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 It wasn't coming from the front door. It was coming from his bedroom wall. He sat bolt upright in bed, his heart hammering against his ribs. His bedroom was on the second floor. The wall it came from faced the backyard, which was nothing but a dark sea of trees. "Hello," it whispered. The sound swallowed by the suffocating silence. Nothing. He tried to rationalize it. Stress. An old house settling. The pipes. Anything but what he truly feared. He laid his head back on the pillow. Eyes wide open. Knock. 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 It was closer this time. It sounded like it was coming from inside the room. Ethan leaped out of bed and slammed his hand on the light switch. The room flooded with yellow light, revealing nothing out of the ordinary. Just his bed, a desk, and the closet door, which was hanging open just a crack. He didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, as sunlight streamed through the grimy windows, he noticed something that made his blood run cold. On the bedroom wall, where he'd heard the knocking, were faint handprints. They were small, delicate, far too small to be his. He scrubbed them away with a damp cloth, a nervous laugh escaping his lips. "Get it together, Ethan," he muttered to himself. Later that afternoon, while he was taking out the trash, his neighbor, an old woman named Mrs. Calder, shuffled over to him. Her eyes were sunken but held a sharp, unnerving intensity. "You heard it, didn't you?" she asked, her voice a dry rasp. Ethan froze. "Heard what?" "The knockin'," she said, her gaze fixed on him. A wave of relief washed over him. "You hear it too?" Her face tightened into a grim mask. "No," she said flatly. "Only the person inside hears it." Ethan forced another laugh, trying to brush it off. "It's just an old house, right? They make weird noises." She grabbed his wrist, her grip surprisingly strong, her fingers like cold little talons. "Listen to me," she hissed. "Whatever you hear, whatever it says, whatever you do, never answer it." "Answer what?" Ethan asked, his voice barely a whisper. She just stared at him. The last knock. That night, Ethan prepared for a siege. He left every light on and brewed a pot of strong, black coffee. He sat at his kitchen table, watching the clock on the wall, the seconds ticking by like a death knell. Las 2:16 alto M. His chest felt tight, his breath shallow. Las 2:17 alto M. Knock. 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 This time, the sound came from the closet in his bedroom. Slowly, with a long, drawn-out creak, the closet door swung open on its own, revealing an abyss of darkness inside, a darkness that seemed to defy the light in the room. Then, a voice trickled out. It was soft, familiar, and filled with pain. "Ethan, please." It was his ex-wife, Laura. His breath hitched in his throat. "Laura," he stammered. "I'm scared." The voice whispered from the blackness. "Open the door. It's so dark in here." He felt a pull, a desperate urge to go to her, to help her. His hand was trembling as he took a step forward. But then, Mrs. Calder's warning echoed in his mind. Never answer it. He stumbled backward, shaking his head. The knocking stopped. For the next 3 nights, the torment continued. It used different voices, each one a blade twisting in his gut. He heard his mother, weeping. He heard his childhood best friend, begging for help. He even heard a little boy he didn't recognize, sobbing his name. Each night, the knocking moved. It came from the walls, then the ceiling, then from directly under his bed. It was surrounding him, closing in. On the 4th night, something inside Ethan snapped. He couldn't take it anymore. "Stop!" He screamed into the empty house, his voice raw. "Leave me alone." The house fell silent. A moment passed. Then came a single, solitary knock. On the front door, Ethan stood frozen in the hallway, staring at the door. This knock was different. It wasn't secretive or strange. It was polite, patient. Then a man's voice, smooth and calm, spoke from the other side. "Mr. Ethan Moore, I'm here to collect." "Collect what?" Ethan shouted, his voice trembling. There was a slight pause. "The space you're occupying." The brass doorknob began to turn slowly, then stopped. "You have a choice," the voice said, its calm tone more terrifying than any scream. "You can open this door, or we can come in the other way." And then it began. The walls started knocking. The floorboards knocked beneath his feet. The ceiling knocked above his head. Hundreds of knocks, all perfectly synchronized. A deafening, maddening rhythm that shook the very foundations of the house and his sanity. That was it. Ethan broke. He ran. He burst out of the house, barefoot and screaming, not even thinking to lock the door behind him. He scrambled into his car and spent the rest of the night shivering, parked at the edge of town. At sunrise, he returned, flanked by 2 police officers. But the house was empty. Completely empty. Not just of ghosts, but of everything. His furniture was gone. His clothes were gone. There were no footprints, no handprints, no sign that he had ever lived there at all. Except for one chilling detail. Carved deep into the wood of the front door were 2 words. Answered. The police looked at him like he was crazy. They found no record of his lease. They suggested he was under stress and let him go with a warning. He went to find Mrs. Calder, desperate for an explanation, only to find her house abandoned. A different neighbor told him she had passed away over 10 years ago. Ethan left Hollow Creek that day and never looked back. Yes, went be. He slowly, painstakingly rebuilt his life. He found a new job in a bustling city. He got a new apartment on the 7th floor of a high-rise building. There was no silence, there was no darkness, and there was no knocking. He was finally safe. Until one night, he woke up suddenly, a familiar dread washing over him. The clock on his nightstand read to 17 a.m., and he heard it. Knock, knock, knock. It wasn't coming from the walls, or the door, or a day closet. It was coming from inside his chest. A pressure, a rhythm. He realized his heart wasn't beating anymore. It was knocking, and then a voice whispered from his own mouth. A voice that wasn't his, but was using his lips. You should have answered the door. Ethan's face stretched into a wide, unnatural smile. And somewhere, in a small, forgotten town, a house became occupied once again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more chills. See you next time.